Did we ever see her as a murderous vigilante? Anyone? I don't know. The appearances that Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman had, I don't remember her as a murderous vigilante. Do you? Wonder Woman fans were not happy. Of course, a lot of people weren't happy. And immediately, what happens? They start pointing the fingers. Who did this? Was it you? It was you. Of course, a lot of people pointing at James Gunn. It was James Gunn. You canceled it. Somehow, I doubt that that's actually the case, especially when you see this tweet right here. Warner Brothers Games is shutting down Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and WB San Diego. Sources tell Bloomberg News. Warner Brothers is also canceling the Wonder Woman game. The die-hard Gunn people and the die-hard Snyder people had to make it about themselves. I mean, that's just the way it is. I have this tweet right here that I want to read that I bookmarked because I was like, oh boy. I mean, it was just like you had two sides of the spectrum right here, because basically given a checklist of pushing back against somebody who was a diehard Snyder fan. So, quote tweeting a certain individual who had meltdowns about all kinds of stuff, diehard Snyder fan, made videos, pushed back on people, having like little meltdowns, seeing the stuff like that. Really not the great way to, put your arguments out there. It just doesn't really quite work. That individual said Zack Snyder was the only person who gave a damn about Wonder Women. I'm sure he meant Wonder Woman. He had to leave because Batman and Superman hurt people. Fuck you all. So doing that thing, fuck you all. It's cape shit, guys. Let's relax a little bit. But fuck you all. But I'm like, I love it too because everybody just kind of goes, like, yeah, Zack totally did. He totally brought her into modern day, made her a warrior, made her badass, and then he handed it off to Patty Jenkins, who continued that. Nobody talks about Patty Jenkins. People just like hate Patty Jenkins now. I mean, yeah, Wonder Woman 84, yeah, maybe that left a bad taste in people's mouths, but I don't know. It's just kind of funny where it's like, well, wait a minute. That first Wonder Woman was pretty damn good. I mean, Jesus Christ. It was pretty damn good. But then the person that wanted to quote tweet and shit on what Zack did said right here. So here's the list right here. Cast a Zionist for Wonder Woman, because now Gal Gadot is a Zionist because she's Israeli and, of course, have her support for Israel. So naturally, we just put that title on there and people just follow suit. They just go, yeah, she's a bad person and we're going to put that on her. Just like when, just that whole little thing where it's like, oh, yeah, she's a bad person, that's a bad, and all this kind of stuff. And then people just like kind of turned on her and whatever the fuck. But yeah, cast a Zionist because that's what Zack was trying to do, right? It's cast a Zionist. He was like, oh, I need a Zionist for Wonder Woman. Who we got? Who's a Zionist out there? And Gal Gadot was like, me. The next thing was uses the worst origin of the character. When the hell did he use the worst origin? His origin they did not use. His origin was, of course, where she was going around and cutting people's heads off and doing all this stuff, and it was very R-rated and everything like that. They did not use that. They went for the World War I version that Patty Jenkins used, so they did not even use that. Turns the Amazons into Kryptonians. This was the biggest thing I kept seeing for people trying to push back onto this, like mainly Gunn fans who hate Zack Snyder. They were trying to utilize the idea that he talked about 2 years ago at Full Circle when he said that they had this whole idea. Remember when DJ brought it up that, oh yeah, they were possibly saying like, no, the gods aren't, they're not really gods. It could be like Kryptonian. It could be all linked up when it comes to like that. They were just toying with the idea and they talked about it. Didn't quite utilize it. I mean, maybe if you actually watch like the trilogy, maybe there's like some things that maybe Zack was like, well, maybe there's a little bit in there, when it came to like Zeus and all that kind of stuff and all the maybe there could have been something like that still was kind of in there, but not really. It was an idea that didn't get fully used. And I've been seeing that a lot where people are trying to use that as a counter argument to what Zack did. And I was like, ridiculous. Next thing says, turns her into a murderous vigilante because The Edge. Did we ever see her as a murderous vigilante? Anyone? I don't know. The appearances that Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman had, I don't remember her as a murderous vigilante. Do you? And then the last thing is absolutely hilarious. Planned to kill her off by fucking poison. And of course, utilized this little description from the storyboard that said, on Themyscira, Dr. Maru unleashes a chemical gas that covers the island and kills the Amazons, even Diana, who dies in her mother's arms. Maru dies herself, a sick and twisted smile on her face. Again, not a concept that was actually going to be used in the Justice League sequels. That was just something that they were toying with and they wrote on those storyboards. Both sides of this argument right here, you got one person having a meltdown, because that's what I kept seeing from diehard Snyder fans, meltdowns of stuff, saying all this kind of stuff. And then you had the counter arguments, and then using the arguments of ideas that were not actually used to shit on Zack. And I'm like, come on. Just because he was trying to do something a little bit different, just like what everybody does when it comes to these characters in the movie space or in the live action space, you can't have a perfect adaptation. You can't have that. There's going to be things that have been, worked around and changed and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with thinking like, maybe we could do it like this. It's happened many times. Does it always work? No. And they didn't actually go with those concepts. That's what's so crazy. They didn't actually go with those concepts.